Hello and welcome. I'm your host, The Hidden One. Today I wanted to talk a bit about one of my favourite games in the Assassin's Creed franchise, Assassin's Creed Revelations. This video was initially meant to be just that, a discussion about Revelations, a retrospective. However, as I was making this video, I started comparing this game to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, one of the most beloved games in the entire series. I realised that I preferred Revelations to Brotherhood, a view not held by the majority of fans. This video won't directly justify why I prefer it, but it will certainly compare the two games. Before we begin, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and most importantly, share this channel with your friends. Assassin's Creed Revelations is special. It does the impossible of wrapping up both Ezio and Altair's stories in a satisfying way, and it does it to an incredibly high standard. Darby McDevitt does an incredible job in the writing department, and I believe that this game is the best written in the entire franchise, although Black Flag, also written by Darby, comes in at a close second. One of my favourite aspects of the game is the setting. Constantinople was such a perfect setting given that this is both Altair and Ezio's game. To me, Constantinople represents the coming together of Ezio and Altair because of its geographic location, one half situated in Europe, home to Ezio, and the other in Asia Minor, the Middle East, home to Altair. Some people don't enjoy the setting of Constantinople, but personally I found it refreshing coming from Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, both games which are set in Italy. Like the games that came before it, the world feels alive, and I felt totally immersed in this incredible recreation of the city, and it is awesome climbing up the minarets on the skyline. Now, let's talk about gameplay. I personally liked the addition of the hook blade for traversing the world, though I do understand the criticism that it gets. To me it acts as more than a gameplay feature. Though Yusuf explains it's a tool that all the Ottoman Brotherhood of Assassins use, I think that it also has a secondary purpose, to show us, the player, that Ezio is getting older. In the same way a cane helps an elderly person walk, the hook blade helps the aging assassin climb. The parkour in this game is great, as it is in the previous titles that came before it, and you really feel in control of Ezio's movements. It's a shame that parkour no longer feels like an important aspect of Assassin's Creed, as it is a core part of the franchise's identity, and this game and Assassin's Creed 2 are the reason that I love it. Whilst Brotherhood offered more variety in Rome than Constantinople, at least you don't have large cliffs or woods that you can't climb or traverse here. As for the Masyaf key locations, they were great fun. Some of the set pieces are truly awesome. Brotherhood's layers of Romulus, though, are very well done too, and certainly improved on what Assassin's Creed 2 did. I mean, come on, the music that played in Assassin's Creed 2 while you're in the Assassin's Tombs got old very quickly. Sorry, Jesper. One of this game's greatest strengths is that it takes some of the best features that Brotherhood brought to the franchise and seeks to improve on them in this game. For example, we get much more meaningful recruitment missions for the Ottoman Brotherhood, where we actually get to learn about the people we are helping. Sure, some of them are a bit silly, such as one or two of the pickpocketing recruitment missions, but they do help to humanise the people we're recruiting into the Brotherhood. Though the assassin missions are improved in this game, I do find it more difficult to find the pigeon coops, a problem I never experienced in Brotherhood. Another thing that was improved upon was combat. The kill animations are really awesome, and the cinematic trailer shows some of these off really well. It also feels like more of a challenge with the Janissaries being worthy opponents to Ezio. Though the idea of implementing bomb crafting was cool, and something new to this game, it feels pretty pointless, and every time I play the main story I feel frustrated that there are so many missions where I am forced to use bombs. Don't get me wrong though, they can sometimes be useful, especially when dealing with Templar captains. On the topic of Templar dens, these play fairly similar to Brotherhood, but if you capture a Templar den, you are possibly at risk of losing it. When a Templar attack happens, you are forced to play essentially a tower defense minigame, which feels out of place in Assassin's Creed, and was completely unnecessary. I'm sure there's probably more to say about the gameplay and the world, but I, like the rest of you, probably want to get on to the best part of Assassin's Creed Revelations: the story. Assassin's Creed Revelations starts as the others do in the modern day. Desmond has fallen into a coma after having stabbed Lucy, and his mind is completely fractured. So Rebecca plugs him into the Animus, saving his life. The dialogue with Subject 16 is really good, and though this modern day is considered by some to be the start of the bad modern days, I quite liked the emphasis on Ezio and Altair's stories instead. Altair's Masyaf key memories fill the void left by the modern day pretty well. It's also important to remember that Darby also wasn't in a position to do much with the modern day, due to everything being saved to be resolved in Assassin's Creed 3. Getting to meet Subject 16 after all this time is nice, and the concept of Desmond having to complete the important memories of Ezio and Altair to fix his mind gripped me and made me more than ever want to step into the shoes of Ezio and see what was so significant about this chapter in his life. We then get to see this game's epic cinematic trailer, accompanied by a monologue from Ezio, and it was a perfect choice to actually put it into the game.
You have fed and sheltered me here. Also give me warning that the road to Masyaf is overrun by mercenaries and bandits, not native to this land. What this could mean, I dread to guess. When I first set out from Roma 10 months ago, I did so with a single purpose: to discover what our father did not. In a letter written the year before my birth, he makes mention of a library hidden beneath the stones of Masyaf Castle. A sanctum full of invaluable wisdom. So what will I find when I arrive there? Who will greet me?
A few tutorial bits later, following in the footsteps of Altair, and we're already thrown into action, having to get through villages full of Templars, and then having a carriage chase with the Templar captain Leandros. A crash, and some fights later, we eventually assassinate him. What a strong start to the game. I won't get too bogged down into the specifics of the story, such as Nicola Polo's journal and the Grand Temple for the sake of time, but this sets up well the idea of Altair's memories being invaluable, and acquiring the Masyaf keys becomes the driving force of the plot from here. Ezio then goes on to meet Yusuf, the warm and welcoming leader of the Ottoman Brotherhood, who helps him to adjust to the local way of doing things. Ezio then goes on to complete multiple fun and interesting missions, such as sneaking into the palace dressed as a minstrel, where he entertains the unimpressed guests with his songs about Cesare, Vieri, and others from his past. He also helps the gypsies spread superstitious fears amongst the guards by poisoning them, and bumps into Duccio wooing Sophia. However, there are also some much more serious ones. For example, when Ezio accidentally kills an innocent man, Tarek Boletti. The main characters were generally speaking well written, such as Yusuf, the charismatic leader of the Ottoman Brotherhood of Assassins, Sophia, the worldly wise bookshop owner, who is Ezio's love interest in the game, and Suleiman, the humble and wise prince. Sophia is an intelligent and mature character, and this makes me truly believe in Ezio and Sophia's relationship. Though they do have a large age gap, never did it feel weird or forced to me. She isn't a useless side character either, and she truly contributes to the plot and moves it along. There is of course Yusuf's death scene as well, a really moving moment.
You rest, brother. Requiescat in pace. Brothers, sisters, the whole city rises against us, while Yusuf's murderer waits and watches from the arsenal, laughing. Fight with me, and show him what it means to cross the assassins.
Wow. What a moment.
One of the disappointing parts of this game, though, was that there wasn't a clear antagonist through the story. But then this wasn't a story of revenge like Brotherhood was. Instead we have two main enemies, the Byzantines, headed by Sharkulu, who looks cool and sounds evil, and Manuel Pelagos, one of the worst villains in the series. The other faction is of course the Templars, headed by Suleiman's uncle Ahmed, who is the much better villain, and I take him much more seriously than Cesare and Rodrigo, in that he tries to at least justify the Templars' ideology, whereas Cesare and Rodrigo, though great and evil villains, were only really interested in the power held in the Apple of Eden. The rescue of Sophia and the pursuit of Ahmed is a bit cheesy. It's alright at best. What's quite nice though is that the game starts early on with a carriage chase, and concludes sequence 8 with a carriage chase, but this time Ezio isn't being dragged through the dust. We all know what the real highlight of the end of the game is though. This. This is the best scene in all of Assassin's Creed. Never again do we get anything as high caliber as this in the entire series. Not just the coming together of Ezio and Altair, but of Desmond too. Ezio has come a long way and fought for so long, and now that he is what so many seek, the Apple of Eden, he chooses not to take it. It is a moment of mixed emotions when Ezio removes his armour. We know that this is the end of our time with the character, and in many ways it was a good thing, but it is also a moment of sadness where we are saying goodbye to one of the most beloved characters of all time. Whatever I've said, I haven't done this scene justice, so I'll let it do the talking for me.
Another artifact. No. You will stay here. I have seen enough for one life. Desmond?
He's talking to me?
I heard your name once before, Desmond. A long time ago. And now it lingers in my mind, like an image from an old dream. I do not know where you are, or by what means you can hear me. But I know you are listening. I have lived my life as best I could, not knowing its purpose, but drawn forward like a moth to a distant moon. And here at last, I discover a strange truth. That I am only a conduit for a message that eludes my understanding. Who are we, who have been so blessed, to share our stories like this? Speak across centuries. Maybe you will answer all the questions I have asked. Maybe you will be the one to make all this suffering worth something in the end. Now, listen.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This video took quite a long time to make, but I wanted to give you something proper seeing as my first video was so short. If you liked the video, then please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and if you really want to, hit that bell icon. If I skipped over too much and missed anything you particularly enjoyed about Revelations, or believe that Brotherhood is better, then please comment down what you want to say. I have been your host, The Hidden One, and I'll see you in the next one.